Hello, we're Team Saving Walter, and this is the post-mortem for our game, Glass Guild. My name is Dione Severino.
I'm Ben Wetzel.
I am Ryan Cooper.
Sean Foley.
And I am Michael Patron.
So, who are you exactly in this game? Well, our game takes place in the world of Esfar, a fantasy-esque world with gods and demons and those who worship them. Uh, Specifically, you're playing as a member of the Glass Guild of Esfar. Uh, The Glass Guild are a group of glassmakers who create various wonderful stained glass pieces, usually for the various churches of Esfar. The more glass you create, the larger your renown becomes as a player. You start off first as a novice, someone who's doing very low level pieces of art, nothing particularly important. However, as you complete levels and complete more extravagant pieces, your renown increases, and eventually you will become the premier glassmaker in all of Estar.
So, how do you play this game? Well, first off, you're presented with this shape in the top left hand corner. This shape is your basic design on what you need to do to move the nodes into place to recreate the shape. You're given these nodes and you're supposed to connect them. The trick is, some of them might not always be in place. So you have to move them into place using the arrow keys. But there's a bit of catches here and there. You can go outside of the little black wall that you see on the screen, and you can end up on the opposite end, sort of similar to Pac Man. Once you get all the nodes into place, connect them and create this magnificent shape. And just beware of those little skull shapes that you see, because if you run into them, it's game over and you have to reset all over again. That level, I mean, not the entirety of the game.
So, a lot of things went really right for us in our development cycle. First off, we got our backgrounds and our music done really quickly, and also they turned out to be amazing, or at least so we think. We also managed to get the desired amount of levels finished that we were aiming for. That was a worry of ours since we weren't necessarily able to get them done earlier in development like we had planned, but we were able to get them finished in time to properly prototype and in order to have our finished product. The game also requires an amount of strategy that we didn't think of in the first place. And we kind of like how it requires you to think a bit more than rather than just connect the dots like we had planned initially. A lot of things also did not go as we wanted them to. First things first, time constraints made it so that we weren't able to complete all of the mechanics and game design ideas that we had for our game. For example, we had an idea for a method that would connect the dots that you had connected between, and it would draw a custom pane to fit that area of the dots that you connected. But that was a programming that was a bit beyond us for the time constraints we had. Uh, GitHub and Unity also proved to be difficult for between branches and between our different developers. Pushing and pulling from the repositories turned to be a bit more cumbersome than we had hoped. And then we also didn't get to implement any proper stained glass imagery into the levels themselves. So you'll see that we're using a lot of solid colors as well as solid lines rather than soldered connections between textured glass panes. So those were a few of the things that we had planned to do, but we didn't really get to in our time constraints.
So overall, we did a lot of working together on this project, and we communicated multiple times every week to get this done. Some of the good things we had going with our communication was that we were constantly sharing updates on each of our individual progresses, and we made sure that everyone was getting their goals done and progressing at a smooth rate. That also meant that everyone was getting their goals done when they needed to, so that was also a good thing. And overall we managed to make it look pretty nice, like an actual glass guild, if you would. Some of the things that happened, how we didn't work together the best, was we had some outside stuff such as midterms, not finals, but other group projects happening that just made us lose track of our time together, and just overall uh, made workflow a little bit harder to do. And we would also get stumped on implementing some other features that we had ideas for, so we just ended up having to not include them in the final game.
In the future, we would like to implement power-ups, more levels, and more stained glass imagery. These were some of the things that we cut, and it'd be awesome to see them in the game. We'd like to expand the amount of levels and have more complicated shapes, allowing for more strategy and make the game a little bit more harder. We'd also like to implement a more strict goal system and fallback plans, so we don't have time constraint based issues again. Lastly, we'd like to add different game types to the levels.
I'm glad you enjoyed our post-mortem PowerPoint presentation, but now I'd actually like to take some time and present the game to you. In the game Glass Guild, your job is to recreate the object seen up here by clicking on nodes and assembling the shape. As you can see, we have a little bit of an onboard clue as clicking on the node and seeing what happens, and oh, look at that, it glows up. Now when you click on another node, since you have nothing else you can click on that node, it stops. You click on it again, and there you go, you've made a connection. By the way, you can pause the game too by pressing escape and then clicking on whatever you want. So let's just finish this shape for now, and let's move on with the next level. I did forget to mention on the screen of the level 1 that it did say that you can press R to reset, and we'll see that here with this level right now. So this red node right here, you can't actually move it left and right, just like this. Now, you don't have all degrees of freedom. You can't move up and down with this node, but that is a node that we'll talk about later on. But let's say, like, oh, I'm making a connection here, let's do this, and uh-oh, that's not the one I wanted to make. Press R and the level resets. So let's finish this shape the way it's supposed to be, shall we? Wonderful. This shape, same story, but let's flip it on its head. The blue node can move up and down in any direction. Different from the red node, which can move left and right. But what happens if we could do both? Seems like a pipe dream, huh? Well, believe it, because the purple node can move in any direction. Left, right, up, and down. Now this node is actually really fun to work with because while this node is very free, when worked well with the other two nodes, it provides a lot of restriction in what you can do and makes your movement incredibly tight. So this one I can just move around. I could do U's if I wanted to. I can do donuts. But what's important is how it works with other levels, with other nodes, which will give you a sneak peek right now. So this is the final level I'm going to show you because I do want to keep some of the game secret. Some of it you're going to have to figure out on its own. By the way, if you listen to the music in the background, this was a very well musical track done by our music and art director, Sean Foley. Incredible guy. So these two nodes, the purple one can move up and down, but they can both move left and right. This is for you to figure out that you need to move both in tandem to create the right shape. Now I'm going to fill this in almost all the way, but I'm going to leave this blank for now because I don't want to spoil the rest of the level for you. So this is all I have for you right now, but I hope you enjoy the rest of Glass Guild, and remember, you're on a tight schedule and you have a tight place to work with. So don't mess up.